Welcome to Into the Arms of Morpheus podcast, a quiet story from history. Tonight, 30 days of water. Close your eyes. The wind has been coming from the same direction for 11 days. This is a good thing. On a crossing like this, a steady wind is everything. It means the sails stay set. It means the ship holds its course without constant adjustment. It means the crew can settle into the rhythm of the passage, rather than spending every watch fighting against the weather. A steady wind fills the sails the same way, hour after hour, pushing the ship forward at the same slow pace, eating steadily into the distance that remains. You are somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Not the interesting middle, if there is such a thing. Not near the edge of any current, not close to any island. Just the middle. The long, flat, featureless middle of the longest crossing most ships would ever make. There is no landmark anywhere. There is no sign of land in any direction. There is nothing to indicate position except the navigator's calculations and the slow movement of the stars overhead from night to night. There are perhaps 20 days left. There were perhaps 20 days when you started. It is difficult to tell the difference. The ocean ahead looks exactly like the ocean behind. The progress is real. The log line confirms it. The navigator's noon sighting confirms it. But it does not feel like progress in any way that satisfies. It feels like staying still while the days pass. But the days are passing. 30 of them, roughly. The Atlantic crossing has been made for several centuries now. The route is well understood. The trade winds blow reliably from the northeast across the northern Atlantic, and sailors learned early that the quickest way west was not to fight these winds, but to go south first, below the latitude where they blow strongest, and then pick them up and ride them west. Further south still, the same winds curve west across the equatorial Atlantic. The routes that developed over the first century of Atlantic crossing were routes shaped entirely by the wind, not straight lines between departure and destination, but curves and angles that followed the paths of least resistance across the water. Coming back eastward, the winds are different. Higher latitudes, stronger westerlies, a different set of routes, a different experience of the ocean. Many people who made the Atlantic crossing in both directions said the return felt like a different ocean, colder, rougher, more demanding. The crossing takes different amounts of time, depending on too many things to predict precisely. The season, the ship, the weather encountered along the route. A fast vessel in good conditions might cross in 3 weeks. A slower merchantman in variable weather might take 6. Most crossings fall somewhere between a month, roughly, 30 days of water, which is long enough for the crossing to become its own world, long enough for the life before departure to begin to feel distant, and the life after arrival to feel not quite real yet. Long enough to simply be at sea, with no particular past and no particular future, just the ship and the wind and the water for as far as any horizon shows. Sailors who made many Atlantic crossings sometimes said that the ocean in the middle was where they felt most like themselves. Not in port, where the demands of the shore world pressed in from all sides. Not in the first days of a passage, or the last days approaching landfall, but in the middle, when the crossing had settled into itself, and there was nothing to do except sail it, day after day, in the same direction. The middle of the crossing is the crossing. Everything else is just getting to it and leaving it. The days settle into a pattern. Dawn. The night watch gives way to the morning watch. Someone checks the compass, checks the set of the sails, checks the log line trailing behind the ship. The helmsman is relieved. The new watch takes its position. Breakfast is prepared. The same breakfast as yesterday, or close enough to it. The stores dictate the menu more than any preference does, and the stores change as the crossing progresses. Fresher things in the first week, preserved things in the middle weeks, whatever remains at the end. The morning passes. The sun lifts and crosses the sky. At noon, when it reaches its highest point, the navigator makes his observation. The altitude of the sun above the horizon, measured with care, gives the latitude. Combined with the log record of distance and direction run through the previous 24 hours, it gives the position. The ship is here. The destination is there. The distance between them, recorded in the log, slightly smaller than it was yesterday. The entry is made. The day's position is noted. Then the afternoon. Then the evening watch. Then the stars coming out, and the navigator making his evening observations, and the bell marking the hours. Then night, then dawn again. 30 times roughly. Each day indistinguishable from the one before, except in the small details. The exact quality of the light at a particular moment, the direction from which a particular swell arrived, whether the cook managed something slightly different for supper, whether anyone said anything worth remembering. Most days the details are not memorable. The log entry for Tuesday looks almost identical to the log entry for Monday. The position has advanced. The weather is the same or similar. The crew is well. The cargo is undisturbed. That is the crossing. The ocean looks the same every day. This is one of the things about a long crossing that takes time to adjust to, and that some people never entirely make peace with. On land, you know where you are. The landscape tells you constantly. The shape of the hills, the bend of a familiar road, the building at the corner that marks the turning, the particular way the light falls on a known hillside at a known time of day. You carry the map of your territory in your body. You are located. The ocean offers none of this. The water today looks exactly like the water yesterday. It will look the same tomorrow. The horizon is the same distance away it has been for the entire crossing, roughly 15 miles in every direction, a circle that moves with the ship and never changes its radius. The sky is the sky. The wind is the wind. There is nothing in the visual field that has changed since the last port disappeared below the eastern horizon. And nothing will change until the next coast appears to the west. The only evidence that you are moving is in the numbers, the log line, the navigator's calculations, the tally of days. The senses report something that feels like staying still. The mind adjusts. It has to. A mind that cannot tolerate the featurelessness of open ocean is a mind that cannot work at sea. And people who work at sea have worked at sea because they found their way to tolerating it, or even to preferring it. Not everyone manages this. Some people spend the entire crossing in a low-level discomfort with the absence of reference, counting the days until the coast reappears. Others find, somewhere in the middle weeks, that the featurelessness has become something else, not an absence, but a presence, the presence of the ocean itself, which is not nothing, which is in fact one of the largest and most ancient things on earth, and which is perfectly visible in all directions from the deck of the ship. The water is not all the same. The colour of it changes with depth and with the angle of the sun. On a clear afternoon, the surface can look almost cobalt in the deep water, shifting toward green in certain lights. On an overcast day, it goes grey and flat. In a swell, the back of each wave catches the light differently from the face, producing a constant, slow texture of light and shadow across the surface. The ocean offers no landmarks, and after a while, for many people, that becomes a relief rather than an absence. No demands from the landscape, no obligations readable in the scenery, just the water, doing what it does, carrying you where they are going, in its own time. You are simply here, in the middle of the water, and the water is everywhere, and the days pass. There is a rhythm to a ship at sea that organizes time differently from the way time is organized on land. The bells mark the watches, not the hours. 4 hours on, 4 hours off, the cycle repeating 6 times through each day. The meals come at fixed times that have nothing to do with hunger, only with the clock and the routine. The particular sounds of the ship at each stage of the day become so familiar that they function as a clock in themselves. The sound of the cook beginning work in the galley in the early morning, the change in the quality of voices on deck when the watch changes, the creak of the mainmast that happens when the wind shifts slightly at a certain time of afternoon. These sounds become familiar very quickly. Within the first week, a sailor stops hearing them as individual things. They merge into a single continuous sound, the sound of the ship being itself, being at sea, doing what it does. It is not silence. It is a specific kind of fullness that the body learns to live inside, the way it lives inside the sound of its own heartbeat. And within that sound, people sleep very well. Better than they sleep on land, many sailors said. The motion of the ship beneath them, the long, slow rise and fall of the bow in a swell, the slight heel of the hull to the wind, the continuous sound that is somehow quieter than silence, that fills the background completely and leaves nothing for the mind to reach toward in the dark. The knowledge that for the next several hours there is nothing to do and nowhere to be except here, in this berth, carried west through the Atlantic. The ocean carries people while they sleep, literally and otherwise. The ship moves through the night, whether the people in it are awake or not. The watch keeps the course. The wind keeps the sails. The distance decreases, regardless of whether anyone is conscious enough to observe the decreasing. You can sleep for 6 hours and wake to find the ship exactly as you left it. The same sound, the same motion, the same dark, but 6 hours further along the course, 6 hours closer to wherever this crossing ends. There is something profound in this, though it is not the kind of thing that sailors in the age of sail spend time being philosophical about. They slept because they were tired, and because the chance to sleep was available. The fact that the ship continued without them was simply the nature of a ship with a watch kept. But the effect is the same, regardless of whether it is noticed. The sleep of a person at sea is the sleep of someone being carried, not just resting, actually moving, going somewhere, even in the depths of unconsciousness. The food changes as the crossing goes on, and the changing of the food marks time more concretely than almost anything else. In the first week, there are things that will not keep. Fresh bread from the last port, fruit and vegetables bought before departure, the produce of a world that has been left behind and that has a limited number of days before it reminds you of this fact. People eat well in the first week, or at least eat freshly, and the freshness is its own kind of pleasure after the months of preserved food that preceded the last port. By the second week, these things are gone. The diet becomes what the stores allow: salt meat, preserved and packed in brine before the voyage, hard ship's biscuit, dried peas boiled into a thick grey soup, preserved fish on better days. These are not unpleasant foods in themselves. They are what generations of sailors ate, because these were the foods that kept without refrigeration, that could be stored in a ship's hold for months without becoming unusable. They are the foods of long passages, and people who make long passages learn to eat them with something approaching equanimity. No one is hungry. There is enough. But the table becomes very simple, and there is something about simple food, eaten at the same fixed time each day, in the same place, with the same people, that over the weeks of a crossing becomes its own kind of comfort. Not the comfort of variety, or of quality, or of culinary pleasure in any ordinary sense. The comfort of repetition, of knowing what the meal will be before you sit down to it, of the day being reliably marked by eating, of the small ceremony of the table, however plain the table, and however simple what is on it. Sailors who had made many long crossings sometimes spoke of a paradox. The food at sea was objectively simpler than food on land, preserved rather than fresh, repetitive rather than varied, and yet something about eating it was right. Fixed times, fixed company, the table as a ritual, regardless of what was on it. The day organized around meal times in a way that made it manageable. In the middle weeks, people find ways to fill the hours. Whatever books the ship carried are read and passed around until the pages have gone soft from handling. Cards, the same games, the same players, the same worn deck with the bent corner on the 7 of clubs that everyone knows but no one mentions. The games go on for hours. They do not need to be exciting. They are something to do together, which in the middle weeks of a long crossing is what matters. People talk about what they are going to do when they arrive. Plans that acquire detail, not because the detail is important, but because adding detail is a way of spending an hour. What the first meal ashore will be, who they will see first, where they will sleep. These conversations keep the destination real, specific and particular, rather than just a word on a chart. The crossing is easier when the place at the end of it is a place you can describe. The nights in the middle of the Atlantic are very clear. Far from any coast, far from any city, there is no source of light below the horizon in any direction. The stars fill the sky from one edge to the other. The Milky Way is not a faint smear, but a structure, a broad, soft band of light that extends inward, that has depth to it, that is clearly a thing rather than just a brightening in the sky. On watch at night, in the middle of the crossing, with nothing to do but keep the ship on course and wait for the hours to pass, sailors would sometimes simply stand and look at it, not thinking about anything in particular, just standing in the dark on a moving ship in the middle of the ocean, looking up at the stars, which are the one thing on a night crossing that is not the same as it always is. The stars move. Slowly, over the course of the night, they wheel across the sky. If you stand and watch for long enough, the movement becomes visible, as though the sky itself is turning on its axis, which it is. The ship moving beneath them, the stars moving overhead, the water moving around them in its slow and constant way. Everything moving, all of it together, slowly, in the enormous dark of the open Atlantic. The wind is steady tonight. The sails are full. The ship is moving at its own pace. There is nothing to do but be carried. Rest now, and drift slowly into the arms of Morpheus.